Hello everybody and welcome back to another Walking Dead video. Today will be my top 10 list for the worst deaths we have seen on The Walking Dead. As the show has killed off many characters, there are bound to be some duds. And in this list I will be talking about 10 characters which I felt like their writing was terrible for their death. It just made no sense, or that these characters just lost great opportunities to develop and become great characters. So let's do my honorable mentions. And first of all, we have Morales and Lance. Both of these characters were just killed for shock value, and it is worse than Lance. He was built up to be such a great villain, and they just kind of off him suddenly in a terrible version of Walter White's death. I wasn't a fan of that. So let's move on to number 10, and we have Glenn. I really hate Glenn's death, for the reason that it is just there to be shock. The lead up to Glenn's death is really dumb. Out of all the characters to lash out because Rosita's being taunted, it wouldn't really be Daryl. Daryl really has no emotional connection to Rosita, so I am not very happy with Daryl coming up, punching Negan, and him being the reason that Glenn dies. It just felt like they could have handled this death so much better and maybe just had Negan kill two of them instead of Glenn being killed because Daryl goes full on Egypt. Number 9, we have Pope, and this is a character which his death was just out of nowhere. Leah kills him because she feels like it, and then she's like, I'm going to be in charge of the Reapers now. It makes very little sense why Pope died, and he had so much potential, and it was just completely wasted because they just wanted to suddenly off him so they can make Leah the main villain. Why did you bother writing Pope into the show if he wasn't going to do anything? Another death of the Reaper arc is Odin in 8th place, and his death is completely wasted, and Odin just felt like an afterthought. The way Odin died is that he died off screen, and the last time we saw Odin before he died was episode 3 of season 11. We don't see him again until episode 9 to find out he died between episode 3 and episode 9. Odin just feels like an afterthought to the Reaper arc where they remembered, oh yeah, Odin's in that church, let's go find out what happened. It is just very dumb. I think Odin should have died on screen, and he should have maybe played a bigger role in the Reaper arc for his final arc, but instead he is barely in the arc and barely does nothing, and it's just a real waste of Odin. In 7th place we have Tina / Sherry's sister. She dies because she falls over. It is such a dumb death. What happens is they end up coming across a greenhouse of 2 walkers covered in glass. Tina goes to pay respects, the walkers come alive, and she stands up, she falls over, and then just lays between the walkers and lets them eat her. It is just such lazy writing to try and get rid of this character, to have her fall over and lay there and wait to die. In 6th place is Laura, and I personally didn't even notice she died because it was so badly shot. How she dies is that Beta throws her against a wall, and I assume she breaks her neck and dies. But the show doesn't acknowledge that. It just moves on. She's in one scene, and then she's just not in the show anymore. The only thing I noticed is like, oh, she's no longer on the show. What, did the actor leave? No, she died, and the only reason people know she died is because in Talking Dead, they mentioned that it was her final episode and that was her death. You know that death is bad if the people creating the show have to explain that Laura died in that episode in a talk show after the episode because everyone missed it. Her death is just so forgettable, and it has to be on this list. Now, 5th place is Beta. And I personally absolutely hate Beta's death. The death was so rushed, it came out of left field, and you could have really done a lot more with Beta. Like, he had to die in that episode, I agree, but you should have had Beta be the main villain of the entire episode, not have Daryl Dixon run up, stab him in the eyes, and then he just goes like, okay, walkers eat me. I absolutely hate Beta's death. It is just so annoying, and my blood is boiling just thinking that they ruined such a great villain with such a lame death. In 4th place is Sasha's death, and the reason why her death is on this list is because everything about her death is so lazy with the writing and very coincidental. How would Sasha know when she kills herself inside of that coffin, Negan would be the one to open it? What if Negan had Sasha in the coffin rolled her into Alexandria, and then told one of the Alexandrians, or even Rick, to be like, open that to go see Sasha. And then they open it and Sasha just kills one of her own. Her death is just so coincidental and everything happens just as it should be, and it's just very, very dumb and very lazy with the writing. They should have maybe made it a bit more like the comic version where Negan already knew that Sasha was dead and froze her into Alexandria to try and get some of the people in Alexandria killed, instead of Negan just being dumbfounded that she died. I just really didn't like this death. In third place is Beth's death, and this death is completely dumb. Why did Beth stood right next to the people who just risked their lives to come and save her, be like, oh no, excuse us, Rick and everyone, I want to stab Dawn in the shoulder out of nowhere, well, she has a bunch of people with guns behind her, and she's got a gun herself. It makes no sense. And what is the purpose of killing off Beth now? You were just developing Beth to make her interesting, and then you suddenly shock kill her. It just makes no sense. If you wanted to kill off Beth, kill her off during the prison arc, or kill her off during the Terminus arc. It was just such a waste and really lazy writing. In second place, our runner-up is Andrea's death. This death is just so dumb, and the whole reason it happens is because the show just ran out of budget really for the final episode. And her death is completely survivable. If you're in that situation, you would not sit there and look at Milton dead in the eyes, wait for him to die before you try and properly escape. She spends a lot of the time in this situation just talking and not trying to survive. Also, during this death, why did Milton at no point at all try to come and help Andrea? He wasn't tied up at all. All that happened is he got kind of gutted. Milton, in the entire maybe hour or so how long he was in there dying, could have at least tried to help Andrea survive, or tried to kill himself. It just seemed very coincidental, or just lazy writing, that he's just going to lay there like a sack of bricks in the corner, while Andrea just kind of chills in the seat for a really long time, and then he decides to properly attempt to escape once he stops talking to her. And another one, and everyone knows it's going to be here, is Carl's death. His death is the worst the show has ever done. It's not the fact that he died, which is so bad, it's how he died. Why did the writers think it was a good idea for Carl to die from a bite? It is such a dumb death, and maybe if they were attacked by walkers and in the process of defending Alexandria or something, he gets bit, that would be better. No, he gets bit because he decides to be dumb, go out and save a random guy out of nowhere, which flip-flops his character, and then you have him be like, okay, I'm going to take you back. But then we see walkers, and they decide to go fight the walkers, which they could have easily walked past. He took a risk for no reason at all, and it ended up with him being bit. And I don't like how they kind of drawed out his bite through 2 episodes. Carl's death should not have taken up an entire episode of Rick and Michonne dragging him around. It should have maybe been the first 10 minutes of episode 9, and they should have had the back half be about them dealing with it. Carl could have easily survived his fate if he just did one thing, and he didn't take a stupid risk with Sadiq. He could have just taken Sadiq back to Alexandria and not tried to kill every walker he came across. And that is my list. So please tell me down below, do you agree with my list or disagree? And if you disagree, what is your list? I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on the top 10 worst deaths down below. And if you want more Walking Dead content, make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Walking Dead and to help out the channel. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you in the next video.